At 8 years old, I stood on a warm Hawaiian beach, mesmerized by my dad, my hero, my poor dad. A public servant, he spoke passionately about education being the key to success, his eyes glowing with determination. Yet behind his optimism, I sensed a silent struggle with finances. On the other side was Rich Dad, my friend Mike's father, a man who owned multiple businesses. He lived simply but carried himself with quiet confidence. His words held a mystery, a promise of understanding the world in a way my own dad didn't. One day I gathered my courage and asked Rich Dad, "How do you become rich?" He didn't laugh or dismiss me. Instead, he nodded, his piercing eyes scanning me as if deciding whether I was ready for the truth. Rich Dad's lessons began not with answers, but questions. Do you want to work for money or make money work for you? His words ignited a spark. I felt a surge of determination to understand the world of money. He handed me an opportunity, a job at his store for pennies. At first, I felt insulted, but Rich Dad said, "The point isn't the money, it's the lesson you'll learn." I reluctantly accepted, unaware this decision would reshape my life. Hours sweeping floors taught me patience, observation, and curiosity. I watched customers and staff noticing patterns. Money isn't about working harder, it's about thinking smarter, Rich Dad told me, his words echoing like a mantra. One Saturday, Rich Dad handed me a dollar bill and asked, "What is this?" I replied, "Money." He shook his head and said, "This is an illusion, an agreement between people. True wealth lies elsewhere." Rich Dad introduced me to assets and liabilities. He drew two columns on a notepad, labeling one makes money and the other takes money. He explained, rich people buy assets, not liabilities. With each lesson, my confidence grew. I began dreaming of owning businesses, stocks, and real estate. Rich Dad's principles weren't just ideas, they were a roadmap to freedom. Years later, as an adult, I saw the clear difference between my two dads. Poor Dad remained chained to a system, working harder but staying stuck. Rich Dad had built a life of abundance and choice. Rich Dad taught me about risk, saying, "The greatest risk is not taking one." He encouraged me to embrace calculated risks, emphasizing the importance of learning from failure. His words changed how I saw challenges. When I invested in my first asset, a small real estate property, I felt both fear and excitement. Rich Dad's voice echoed in my head. Don't let fear dictate your decisions. Fear keeps most people poor. Over time, I saw money as a tool, not a master. I reinvested profits into more assets, growing my portfolio. Each decision brought me closer to financial freedom. Rich Dad warned me about the rat race, where people live paycheck to paycheck, trapped by their expenses. Break free by making money work for you, he advised. Those words became my life's mission. I learned the importance of financial education. Schools teach you how to work for money, Rich Dad said. You must learn how money works for you. That realization felt revolutionary. I noticed how taxes worked against employees and favored business owners. Rich Dad explained, the rich find ways to legally minimize taxes through investments. It was a lesson in strategy, not avoidance. As my financial knowledge grew, I shared it with others. Some listened, but many didn't, dismissing it as too risky or complicated. I realized that change requires courage and vision. Eventually, I achieved what Rich Dad had always talked about, financial freedom. My income from assets exceeded my expenses. I no longer worked for money, money worked for me. Looking back, I understood the power of mindset. Poor Dad's advice was well-intentioned but limited. Rich Dad's teachings opened doors to a life I never thought possible. Today, I teach others what Rich Dad taught me, to break free from the rat race, build assets, and embrace financial literacy. The lessons aren't just about money, they're about creating the life you want.